Now that Steamboat Willie and Plain Crazy have entered public domain, tons of people have been using both cartoons, well, mostly Steamboat Willie, to make edits, parodies, putting Mickey in video games, and Mickey Mouse horror movies. In doing so has brought tons of attention to those old shorts. I thought it would be neat to make a discussion and or retrospective video on both shorts to celebrate the resurgence of how it all started with the mouse. After Walt lost Oswald to Charles Bensen Universal, Walt and Roy founded Walt Disney Studios, and Walt and Ub Iwerks knew they needed a cartoon star to replace Oswald fast. It has been claimed by Walt and his daughter Diane that Mickey was concepted by Walt as he came with ideas for him on the train ride home, and Walt later claimed he was inspired by a mouse he befriended in Kansas when running Laugh-O-Grams Inc. Ub Iwerks then came up with the design, and Walt's wife Lillian came up with Mickey's name. However, there is actual debate on whether Walt was simply an influence on the character as a voice actor and producer, and if the actual creation of the character was Ub Iwerks, since he designed him, and his family claims he's the one who came up with the character. This whole thing has been argued in videos and articles and books, and admittedly I don't want to touch the whole topic in this video, so feel free to discuss that in the comments. What we do know is that no matter how the idea of Mickey came to be, it is clear that Disney and Iwerks contributed as co-creators for the character, as both contributions of the designing, voice, and how they both wrote and influenced the character is what developed Mickey to what he would become, and that is what we will explore in Plain Crazy and Steamboat Willie. It was solely produced by Walt Disney with music by Carl W. Stalling and animation solely by Ub Iwerks. It was test screened on May 15th but didn't get released until a year later on March 17th. This was basically the pilot of Mickey Mouse shorts, as this was made to prove to execs that there was something valuable about the mouse, although it didn't quite work out that way, as the short wasn't considered good enough to be distributed until Steamboat Willie came along. It was originally not in sound, intended to be a silent cartoon, but when Steamboat Willie released and became so successful, Plain Crazy and some other shorts that were produced around the same time had sound added on later via click tracks like Steamboat Willie. You could tell this was a beta design for Mickey before Iwerks tweaked it to be the more iconic design we got, as although Mickey with more expressive eyes is not an outlandish concept, given that the modern Mickey designs have that, he's missing the iconic gloves and boots, which does make Mickey a little more lacking in key parts of his style. Overall, the character design was rough around the edges, and it makes sense they changed it so much for the better design. I don't mind it. It's one of the more unique designs in my opinion, even though it's not the outright best. While Steamboat Willie focused more on the sound aspect, this cartoon really focused on the action via POV shots and tracking shots that are fluently animated. Mickey is characterized as a sexual harasser in this short, as he wants to speed up the plane just because Minnie wouldn't allow him to touch her or kiss him. He even forces a kiss on her afterwards. This is obviously very far from the character Mickey would become, as he is characterized to be a massive asshole, but later on ends up being a lot more heroic than selfish and more sweet than a creep in later shorts, until he becomes the squeaky clean mascot everyone knows him as. Overall, I don't think it's a bad cartoon. The animation is good, and I think it's engaging from beginning to end, but the characterization design of Mickey was clearly still a work in progress, and I think everyone prefers Mickey not to harass his love interest. By Willie, the voice was provided by Walt. Ub Iwerks was the one who did the drawings, including Mickey's design. It was produced by Walt and Roy. Music was by Wilfred Jackson and Johnny Cannon. The short was animated by Iwerks, Jackson, and Cannon, with Liz Clark as the in-betweener. The short, unlike Plain Crazy, was able to get distributed, hence the introduction of Mickey despite not being the first short produced. The whole short isn't just to introduce the character of Mickey Mouse for the first time, it was essentially like a tech demo of sound cartoons, as the reason for the constant animal abuse by Mickey is to show off the sound effects that could be used by Disney. Although Steamboat Willie is not the first cartoon to use sound, since Fleischer already had 19 sound cartoons of the phonograph, this short killed off silent cartoons forever and put sound cartoons into the mainstream. Even though the content is like a tech demo, it's still a really good short, as the sound really does bring a lot of charm and the animation actually being made with sound in mind, rather than being hastily edited to include it like Plain Crazy, really takes advantage of it, as you have that iconic whistling from Mickey. Like, the shot of Mickey playing Captain alone is iconic for a reason, cementing the Mickey design we all know and love with his boots and simple but charming eyes, although the gloves aren't in this one. The gag of the goat eating the music sheets and then having Mickey and Minnie use him as a phonograph is actually a gag ripped from an earlier Oswald short, well-directed, Rival Romeos, which was released 8 months prior before Walt was kicked off from Oswald and the release of Steamboat Willie. However, Unlike the Oswald silent cartoon, the gag actually works, since the click track allows the music to actually be played from the goat. This is a key example of how Mickey was destined to overshadow his predecessor. Poor Oswald. Mickey isn't an arsehole in this version. Yeah, he abuses the animals to a degree, but most of them don't even feel pain because, it's a cartoon. And most importantly, he isn't a creep to Minnie. Instead, the arsehole character is given to Pete. Pete is an old character. He was originally a villainous bear in Alice Comedy's cartoons, then he was moved over to be a rival antagonist to Oswald until being redesigned as a cat to be an antagonist to Mickey, which would cement who he was until he was later used as an antagonist to Goofy as well. The audience can root for Mickey instead of wanting to see him slap like in Plain Crazy, as he's pushed around by a jerk boss and wants to have fun on the ship with his girlfriend. A very relatable protagonist that immediately would have endeared his character to the audience far more than Plain Crazy Mickey ever could. This was the start of his character being far less of an arsehole and the kind of streamer protagonist Mickey is today. Overall, even though it's lacking in the action compared to Plain Crazy, it is a fantastic short that has stood the test of time, a cartoon worthy of being the introduction of Mickey and Minnie, and cementing the iconic mouse's birthday. Due to the US Copyright Acts being extended from the original 14 years to 75 years plus 50 years after an original creator's death, because of studios like Disney, Universal and Warner Bros. As well as music companies lobbying those extensions, it took up until this year for the two shorts to enter public domain, and with the specific iterations of the characters in those shorts to enter public domain. Disney made an official statement that they'll continue protecting Mickey and other characters still under copyright, but they'll be looking for anyone that tries to pass all the public domain material as official Disney stuff. So people have had to be careful when using the shorts. They can be redistributed, edited, or have variations. And this is what tons of people have been doing, uploading Steamboat Willie on YouTube as well as Plain Crazy and making various edits and parodies. With the characters, you'll need to make it clear that it's not the copyrighted ones. For example, our Colouring a Steamboat Willie project by Condor Creations has to colour Mickey with blue shorts instead of red, so Disney doesn't chase them after making a case for using copyrighted Mickey's likeness. Others have changed public domain Mickey's design to be obviously different, such as the horror Mickeys we've been getting, or tweaking the design so it's obviously not the copyrighted one. Or such as, for example, keeping the hat on Steamboat Willie to make it clear it's from Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Mickey's design seems to be possible to use just how the design has been implemented to a video game that could be on sale and on John Oliver's late night show for Had That Mickey Come On. But due to Disney trademarking Mickey as a brand character and having their films open up with that little Steamboat Willie opening logo, Disney could arguably make a case depending on how you use that design. Also, that whistle can be copyright claimed. I've seen some uploads of Steamboat Willie get claimed due to that whistle, and I Disney uses it for that opening logo. Some other artists have decided to take advantage of for the time look of Plain Crazy's Mickey, since Disney has never used this design for anything significant like Steamboat Mickey, and therefore it will be easier to avoid having them go after you for using that design for merch or other projects. Due to public domain, the force found Mickey in those shorts are being used as raised like 1,000 suns with memes, edits, parodies, etc., since we weren't allowed to use them for so long. But it's given these two historical shorts significance again, and it's always been good when old characters can be brought into the new thanks to public domain's creative freedom.